All right, so welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to jump in and we're going to spend the next few minutes, or like 20-ish minutes, looking at the start of 9.2. Now, for this, I do have some lovely graphics that we will be completing. So here's mine that I did. Here's yours that you will do, because we'll have to fill in all this stuff. But I think that having a nice, clear picture of this is a huge help. Now, I don't care which way we go. I think that the animations that we watched, remember that gal that was talking about the other one, the Amoeba Sisters, I don't know if you remember it. We watched the short video on this. Okay, would it be beneficial to watch that video before or after, do you think? Like, short 5-minute video covering everything that we're going to, just a very cursory level, or would you rather have the video as like a review of everything that we've talked about?
Yeah, video as review.
Okay, so we will make sure we watch that video at some point, but in 9.2, we are jumping in, and I'm going to fix the size of these, and let's get down to the right font. 9.2, we are looking at two ideas. Now, they are easy to confuse just based on the way that they're spelled. We looked at cellular reproduction last lesson. Today, we're going to look at meiosis instead of mitosis, meiosis, and sexual reproduction. Now, at least at its basic. Okay, for this, there is a bit of drawing that I'm going to do. If you guys want colored pencils or something, I think it will help to distinguish a few pieces. But here we are, meiosis and sexual reproduction. Now, anybody in here, like you guys are obviously, you all have parents, do you look exactly like your mom or your dad?
Yeah.
You look exactly like them.
No, no, for me, my dad.
So you look pretty similar to your dad? Do you think you have physical characteristics and attributes that look or come from your mother instead? So we have to be able to combine data, right? Like, we have all this genetic material that exists, and you're a copy of not just your mom, not just your dad, but half of each. And really, it's a fight to see who wins in the genetic code. But we'll dig into that eventually. Right off the bat, when we take a cell that's going to divide, whether it's sexual reproduction, and if we're just looking at regular reproduction that we've had, not sexual, just regular reproduction, we take our chromatid, and it condenses into what? What do we call those little condensed, twisted up pieces of DNA? They form an X shape eventually. So chromatid forms chromosomes. Now, there is some gray area here, just so you know. I can't seemingly find the moment in time when we can really distinguish between chromatid and a chromosome, because it depends on who you're asking about it. I have a friend, a good friend, who's a doctor of microbiology. I'm going to call and chat with her about it tonight because I can't seem to find the answer anywhere, and she's much more knowledgeable than I am. Now, in either case, do you agree that whether it's chromatid, which is DNA, or it's a chromosome, which is also DNA, we can just say it's all genetic material? Like, it all contains DNA. It must have copies of stuff in there. So, right off the bat, our first section, we're going to dig into chromosomes a little bit further, and the numbers at which they show up. So, chromosome numbers. There we go. Chromosome numbers. Now, for this, I know I made the comment because I remember mentioning a genetic company. How many chromosomes do we have?
Yeah, like 21.
It's not 21, it's not 24. We'll get there. Now, to ease into this, we're going to make a little comment. You get traits from your parents, right? You get physical traits. It's not 64 either, just so you know. We're going to say the following. Traits are passed on from parents, and I'm just going to say passed on, through DNA. Okay, that part isn't crazy. DNA holds a genetic code that our traits come from. So the color of my hair is one particular trait being expressed in my genetic code. Okay, specifically on DNA, which we can think of it as that fancy double helix thing, but then it's not as nice to think about when you think about them all shoving together really small. When we're looking at these, we have DNA on chromosomes, and we'll list a couple things out. Anybody have a good shorthand for chromosomes? I'm going to encourage you, use one, but I struggle to get chromatids, chromosomes, all that. They're going to get mixed up if I just use chrome. Okay, on chromosomes, DNA, first of all, it's there because it's just DNA and some proteins. DNA, it specifically is arranged into regions. Is arranged in regions, and these get a name. The actual material that like comes to you and determines, you know, your physical traits, called, these are regions of your DNA called genes. Okay, so we all have DNA, we all have genes. Now, in genes, for this, because like all this stuff is so intermixed with each other, these genes, when we think about what they do, like genes are responsible for every characteristic that you have. But remind me again of all the polymers, the macromolecules that we deal with, which one seemingly keeps showing up as the most important? Proteins. Our genes simply are the ingredients or the directions on which proteins need to form, and that winds up resulting in all these traits. So I'm going to define genes here real quick. These are simply just codes for DNA, or sorry, for protein production. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong, DNA obviously has all these genes on it, but it's just the instructions that say, hey, let's make these proteins and how are they going to express and what do they do in the cell. Okay. Now, I'm not going to write this part down. All of your chromosomes, they have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of genes that determine your characteristics and your traits. So every little X that you see, little tiny regions of this have different organization that say, hey, do this, do this, do this, do this. They're all organized in there. Now, we're going to get kind of into the weeds here for a minute. And we need to, I'm going to say, use your judgment as to what we write down. Okay, right off the bat, can you guys, nope, not even going to make you do it. We're going to define a word. We're going to define homologous, H-O-M-O, which I know that this can have like connotations. When you see this word, what does that root mean? Say it again. So Homo sapien, that's one example of it. Homogeneous is another place. Now, anybody obvious? So when we're looking at this, we do not stress the O here. This is homologous. Okay, we're going to talk about homologous chromosomes. Now, with what we just discussed about that root word homo here, this means what is true about these chromosomes?
They're the same.
They are the same. Now, for this, these are just a pair of chromosomes with one from each parent. Okay, homologous chromosomes are a pair of chromosomes. And I'm going to do this. It doesn't save a ton of time, but I think it's clear that that's chromosomes. CHR with OMO being the spot that's contracted. There we go. Pair of chromosomes with one from each parent. Now, we're going to go through this whole deal. When we're looking at this, I just want you guys to be aware, I'm not going to write it. We are talking about sexual reproduction in only two specific classes. We're looking at animals, and some plants do sexual reproduction as well, but it looks a little bit different. And then some fungi will actually do this as well. Okay, we have homologous. Okay, how do you say this word? Homologous. Okay, so here's the big piece, and we're going to draw a picture here in just a second. When we want chromosomes to match up, and we need to make sure that mom's chromosomes and dad's chromosomes, there's some process where they line up. If I have one that's this long, like an inch long, and another one that's 5 inches long, do those line up nicely, you think? No. So if I have a 1-inch chromosome here, and they're not that big, just so you're aware, it probably needs to match up with another one of what length?
1 inch.
Probably 1 inch. Does that seem reasonable to you? Okay, we need them to match up nicely, and we'll see some pieces that make you think that, well, maybe I lied to you. But here we go. Big, important comment. Humans, all of us, typically have 46 chromosomes. Okay. Now, your 46 chromosomes, that's in total. Some of them have to come from mom, some of them have to come from dad. How many do you think come from each parent?
23.
Good. So check it out. We really truly have 46 chromosomes, which can be confusing, but we'll often talk instead, there's 23 pairs. Now, if you have an extra chromosome that happens throughout this process of meiosis, it can lead to some health issues, a little bit. I don't know. I'm trying to be gentle here. Have you guys ever heard of Down syndrome?
Yeah.
Down syndrome is an error in this process that we're going to go into meiosis where you have an extra chromosome. So there's an issue with it, right? Okay, we get 23 pairs, we get one from each parent. So I'm going to draw two small chromosomes. Now, they're not going to be the X's yet. They haven't been there. We're just going to make sense of it. So check it out. I have two chromosomes, and if they're homologous, they need to be able to line up and match up. Okay, for this, we're going to label all these pieces, but I'm going to draw my chromosomes like this. They look like little propellers. Now, I don't really care, and I'm going to make one side shorter. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we are going to see something. Okay, for these, does it look like those two might match up? For sure. Now, as we look at this, there's a few little pieces. So I'm going to color in here or shade at least a little bit. But two things that we need to make sure. We have approximately same length. And beyond that, these two are going to join, and they're going to join at which part? Top, bottom, or middle?
Middle.
Okay, anybody remember what these are called? These little circles that I've drawn. Anybody remember what those were called? We wrote it today already. Centromere. And that was my bad because I had a typo on it. Centromeres. Okay, so we have same length and aligned centromere. Okay, these are going to join. Now, as we go further, these guys will combine in our sexual reproduction, this whole idea of meiosis. Now, what winds up happening, and I'm going to wait till you guys are caught up because I want to make sure that if I draw something, you don't miss it. Hypothetically, let's say we have one from mom and one from dad. So these guys have lined up nicely. Okay, we're just seeing them next to each other. We're not talking about them physically moving yet. Now, remember, this is a chromosome. There's little regions here where regions of my chromosome that tell me how my body's going to make new proteins and things like that. What are those regions of DNA called on my chromosome? I'll tell you, it's on the screen, and I'm just going to do some color in here. And you don't have to color yours the same, but let's say that this one... So, spindles is a good thought. Not quite. It's on the screen. So remember homologous. We just have little pieces of DNA that isn't exactly the same, because that would mean like identical brother and sister from mom and dad, which is something we don't want. But these line up nicely. So I can see dark yellow and light yellow, dark green and light green, they line up. Little regions on my chromosomes are my genes. So what I see happening here is they're lined up, arranged in a way that they're going to be able to combine. Now, if mom is a human, which I'm pretty sure she is, and dad is a human, pretty sure he is, and we try to replicate that process with both of them, mom's 46 chromosomes and dad's 46 chromosomes, when they combined would say how many chromosomes?
46.
But if I have 46 and dad has 40, or mom has 46, and we put them together, we'd have 92 total.
Oh, they share
There's an issue.
pairs?
Yep, so there's 46 total, 23 pairs. Each of these have 23 pairs. If these just combined, we'd have 46 total pairs. Do you agree with that? Okay, that's an issue. We can't have 46 pairs. We need 23 pairs, which means something has to happen here. If there are 23 pairs or 46 chromosomes in each of these, what do you think these cells need to do?
Pair.
So if they just straight up pair, we're going to double our chromosomes and we're going to not be human anymore.
Wait, what was
They need to divide. We need to take half of my chromosomes from dad, cut that number of 46 total down to 23, cut mom's 46 total into 23, and then they need to combine to form a new 46. That process has to happen to make sure that we get this right. So we are going to be talking about some of these specific reproductive cells. Homologous, same size, same shape, they can join together. That's the important part. Cool with that? Okay, now, going further with this, we have two different types of cells that we're going to deal with. So we're going to talk about sex cells. Okay, you guys know at least some of them, or I mean, we're only looking at two. What's the male sex cell? What specific kind of cell is it that men have that's going to join with a woman's cell to make a new baby? Sperm. Men have sperm, right? And the female equivalent of that is what? Eggs. Sperm and eggs is what it takes. Now, whether you're a fish or a human, doesn't matter. This is what we need. Now, there's something that has to happen here. And we're going to get into some vocab here. Did you guys go into this in depth in middle school? Okay. A lot? Okay. Have you guys seen the word gamete?
I think so. Oh, zygote.
Okay, so you're thinking zygotes. We're not there yet. We will get there. Okay, so as we're looking at gametes, we're just going to say these things, I'll just put in parentheses, come in two varieties that we're going to discuss. Eggs is the female variety, and sperm is the male variety. Okay, when we see this, we have gametes. These are sex cells, specifically. So I'm going to say reproductive cells. Reproductive cells. And before I continue on, do you guys agree that it might seem easy to get lost whether we're talking about 23 pairs or 23 chromosomes?
Yeah.
Like there's a place where there could be an issue there, right? Okay, so Zed already told us that, hey, we need half the chromosomes from this one and half of them from this one, and we need to make that happen. We have half sex cells that we're going to look at where we have one half the number of chromosomes as normal cells. And then just to really emphasize this, we're just going to have a small little table, and I'm going to do it horizontally. Let's list a couple here. We'll do cell type, and then we'll do number of chromosomes. Okay, so just to really drive this home, we have gametes, our eggs and our sperm, that have half the number of chromosomes as normal cells do. So give me any type of normal cell in your body.
Protein.
So
Oh, wait, no, protein.
that's a molecule. What stops your insides from falling out?
Blood. I mean, bones.
Bones, sure. If we were to take a bone cell, how many chromosomes do you think we're going to find? Is a bone cell a gamete? No. So normal cells have how many chromosomes? So bone cells are normal. Boom, 46. Give me another normal cell. Skin. Okay. How many chromosomes do you think skin cells have, RJ? So careful. Is a skin cell an egg or a sperm cell? So I like your 23 number, but you need to double it. 46. Okay, if I listed brain cells, how many chromosomes? Or lung cells or blood cells, how many chromosomes do you think we're going to have in all those? 46. What if we list a gamete here, whether it's in sperm or an egg?
23.
23. This is what makes the big distinction. Now, in general, the way that we look at this, we're looking from the human perspective. When we draw pictures, we're not going to draw 23 or 46 chromosomes. Every animal has a possibility of having different type. For example, fruit flies, the kinds that will find you on your bananas and stuff if you leave them out. 6 chromosomes is all they have. They are not as complex as we are, I don't think, seemingly. Okay, cool.
More chromosomes equals how much intelligence one has.
I would be wary of that, but there's certainly a relationship. I don't think just having more chromosomes necessarily makes you smarter. There's a lot more that goes into it. But here we go. In general, to avoid the confusion about 23 pairs or 23 chromosomes, in general, we let n equal the number of chromosomes in gametes, in a gamete, which for human beings, if we're looking at eggs or sperm, what is that number n? In a sperm cell, we don't have 46.
23.
We only have 23. Okay, which means in other non-gametes, instead of n, you just have twice as many, 2n. Okay, now when you're counting chromosomes, it can be weird. Typically, what we can do is we can just count the centromeres. How many little circles are we grabbing onto? There's a lot going into it. Okay, tomorrow we're going to start class with 2 specific types of cell classifications. We have what are called as haploid. And we're going to define the other one next to this. We'll call this diploid, which it drives me crazy that that's a I noise because I want to say di as in 2. Haploids and diploids will be our focus at the start of class tomorrow. I do not have a bread video for you tonight. I will find one.
So we just keep feeding our dough till Friday?
Yep, if you want to put it in the fridge tonight, that's okay. And if we're going to bake bread in class on Friday, it means we have to bring them Thursday. Okay, and maybe even Wednesday, but we'll clean that up tomorrow. Cool. All right, by the end of the day, I will not give you late grades. Jade, is your homework in your notes?
No.
Okay.
I can just, oh, yeah.
Let me look at it real quick.